Right now on Indianapolis This Week, the city dealing with a spike in violence turns down federal dollars to hire extra police, why the money was rejected. Speculation in the race for mayor. U.S. Attorney Joe Hogsett is stepping down. Will the Democrat challenge incumbent Greg Ballard?
I got a city around. I'm not really concerned about that.
And she's a basketball icon.
I would love to be involved in politics after I retire.
Fever coach Lin Dunn unplugged. The issues she wants to tackle in a candid conversation.
From RTD6, the Indy Channel, this is Indianapolis This Week with Rafael Sanchez.
Welcome to Indianapolis This Week. I'm Rafael Sanchez. The man who said he would not run for mayor of Indianapolis has now resigned his high-profile job with the U.S. Attorney's Office. In a letter to U.S. Attorney Eric Holder, Joe Hogsett is resigning his appointment effective July the 31st. Resignation fuels speculation that Hogsett might seek elective office, perhaps running for mayor of Indianapolis. Hogsett has made public corruption and gun violence priorities in his 4 years as U.S. Attorney for the Southern District, issues that some believe would play very well in a mayor's race.
What I've learned in politics is to not speculate. It just gets people in trouble to guess what's in somebody else's head. So I won't speculate on that. What I will say that if he were to choose to do anything else in public life, I know he would do well, using the example of what he's done as the U.S. Attorney specifically.
Now, under federal law, Hogsett can't talk about politics until he leaves his position. But those who can talk about politics are right now here at the round table. Joining us now, Democrat Laura Beck and Abdul Hakim Shabazz from IndyPolitics.org. Is Joe Hogsett the Democratic candidate for the city of Indianapolis' mayor's race?
I don't know. He can't talk about it.
But you can.
But I can.
Is he the guy?
I don't know. I
Is
don't
he the
know.
guy?
I know there is a very strong movement out there to draft him. In fact, there has been a sort of a social media, I wouldn't say uprising, but a social media effort where lots of folks have been encouraging him. Well, you know, I can never speak for somebody else in the personal decisions that they make. I don't know if he's going to run or not, but I do think that we have already two candidates for mayor on the Democrat side who have said they want to run. If he jumps in, then not only do we have two qualified candidates, we have three qualified candidates.
Abdul, does this move up the timetable for Mayor Ballard, who already has said that he may announce possibly a third term in December? If he looks at a Hogsett campaign, does he say, I have to work harder, faster?
If I know the mayor's people, they would assume that Joe Hogsett was going to run for mayor. Heck, he's run for Congress, run for U.S. Attorney General.
Oh, they're scared. They got to bring all this up.
Well, no, I mean, he's run for everything else, so why not run for mayor? I mean, just like you guys will definitely go after the mayor's record, I think it's only fair to talk about Joe's record and the fact that Joe, the last place you want to be is between Joe Hogsett and a TV camera. So, I mean,
will it hurt the fact that he already has said to us that he was not going to run for Indianapolis mayor, that he was not interested in this job?
Whenever you make definitive statements, I'm sure Laura will agree, they can always come back to come after you in the rear end. Now, Joe will probably say that, you know, originally I wasn't going to run, but then I looked at the field of candidates, I looked at the issues into his face, and I figured the city needed me more than I needed to be at home, blah, 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 blah. So I can easily see that popping up. But if my Democratic friends think that Joe Hogsett is going to be, if I may quote and respect their Lord and Savior, they may want to be wary of false prophets, if I can use that on
He's getting back at me from Tony Bennett, Lord and Savior, that, you know, I like to say. No, here's the thing. For somebody like a Joe Hogsett or an Ed Delaney or a Frank Short, who are the people who are out there right now who've already said they want to run, for somebody like a Joe Hogsett particularly, and for these other candidates, you know, we have had a really rough summer in terms of crime. We've lost another police officer, which is something that this community takes so personally and so deeply. It has been a rough summer. And so if anyone who wants to run against Greg Ballard, you got cricket, you got crime. I'm trying to think of a third C, but I can't get there. You have all of these. Oh, stop. Well, yeah, your people. But we have all these different issues out there. And there is this sea of voter discontent that I'm definitely feeling among the people I know.
I want to hear from the other candidates in the Democratic Party who want to run but may not be able to run until Joe Hogsett says goodbye to his office. Let's hear what they have to say.
Joe can't speculate on what he's going to do, and I'm not going to do that. I'm committed to run, you know, look at running for mayor of Indianapolis. I've been out meeting with people, garnering support, working with folks. I'm going to continue to do that until I hear differently.
But I want to be mayor, and I'm looking at what this means, and I'm waiting to see what he decides to do. You know, I talked about this last fall. I indicated that at the time I thought he would in some ways be the best candidate.
Ed Delaney and Frank Short. Does Joe Hogsett owe it to these gentlemen to make an answer quickly so they can decide whether to stay in the race or to share some of their cash with him?
Well, I'll say this, that from looking at a historic perspective, back in 2003, when the governor's office was up, there were two candidates on the Democrat side, Vi Simpson and Joe Andrew, who wanted to run for governor. They were out campaigning, they were doing everything, that they were doing all the right things, and when Governor O'Bannon died and Governor Kernan decided that he wanted to step in, that was something that he made a decision pretty quickly, and he really, I think, they made that decision and out of respect for those other candidates. So a lot of times when these type of things happen, just speaking from experience, I think that everybody feels like they owe each other that respect, and those are things that are typically worked out within the family, by the family, not out for public view.
So August 1st, Joe Hogsett has to say something so that these gentlemen can determine whether or not their campaigns are viable.
Right. I would not be surprised if on August 1st, or better yet, August 1st is what, a Friday? So that Monday, August 3rd, that Joe Hogsett officially announces that he's running for mayor of Indianapolis. Lets these guys know over the weekend that he's running. But I remind my Democratic friends that in 2006, during Bart Peterson's time, we all thought the issue was going to be crime. We thought it was going to be violence because we're seeing sort of a repeat of those patterns. It turns out the issue in 2007 turned out to be taxes. So while Joe Hogsett may seem like the dream candidate today because of where we are, none of us have any idea. None of us have any idea where we're going to be in 2007.
I think
for next year.
I think, well, that's true. I think sadly that all of us were around in 2006 and 2007. I think that there was a lot of a perfect storm that was also happening. You had crime as an underlying issue. Then you piled taxes on top of that and all of these other things. So yes, I do think that crime will definitely play a role in this because it's been playing a role for a long, long time.
Can Joe Hogsett win? Yes or no?
Anyone can win the mayor's race.
Wow, I did not expect that.
That was a yes or no.
I mean, of course. I mean,
yes or no?
I would like to qualify my answer. I think Joe Hogsett can win. I think he's one of the best campaigners out there. If you've ever seen him campaign, he's terrific. But I also think Frank Short and Ed Delaney can win because it's really, really hard to be a third-term mayor and to run for that third campaign.
Let me put it this way. We've seen third terms go the Bart Peterson route. We've also seen them go the Bill Hudnut route.
Let's talk about police funding. Of course, the mayor of Indianapolis coming under some heat, Greg Ballard. There was an opportunity to get some monies from the cops grant, a federal grant, to get at least $1.5 million from new officers, but that was not really full funding. The FOP says, why not apply for the money? The city of Indianapolis saying because the government was not going to pay for those officers long term, it really was not going to be sustainable. Is that a good enough argument while we're having a spike in crime?
I would say yes, because for the same reason, one of our issues has always been sustainability. We went through this before, if we're going back to the early 2000s, with former Mayor Bart Peterson and the cops grant that they had for 200 officers. Guess what? The funding ran out, so they lost those 200 officers through attrition as other officers retired. It does not make sense to go out and buy a new car with no way to make the payments, and the FOP understand their frustration, but that is what that cops grant would have done. It only gives us maybe 10 to 15 officers, but no way to pay for them long term, and we've been right back in the same boat where we are now.
Well, I think it goes to a larger issue, though, of we desperately need new police officers. And the Bipartisan Staffing Commission is, there's been a bit of parsing over how many we need, but the Bipartisan Study Commission is saying, yes, we desperately need new officers. I think everyone knows we don't have enough police officers. For the average person, when you see this, there is a level of disappointment because you think, wait a minute, we've got to attack this problem immediately now. Yes, there are all the societal issues that we talk about, all those underlying social issues that are really creating so many issues in the generations that are coming up. But at the same time, we don't have enough police. And so I think that for me as a citizen, when I drove on Washington Street last week and watched a prostitute pick up a John, I want those other police officers, even if we can't. I almost followed them, but I decided against it. My citizen justice. But in my mind, I want more police officers to take care of that problem.
You get the final word.
But at the same time, though, we want more police officers, but we also need prosecutors. We need the judges to do their job. You can put 200 more officers on the street, but it's not going to do any good.
You guys are shifting the narrative because you want to take away the blame. That is what this is.
On my commute, I don't see a prostitute in a John.
You need to come live in my neighborhood, Rafael.
On Sunday, I'll
I'll be in prayer. The conversation between our insiders continues. On Twitter, check out their Twitter handles and give us your opinion. And stay up to date with Kip, Abdul, Lara, and Jennifer throughout the week. She's got a passion for basketball any Hoosier can love, and now she's going out, not very quietly. After the break, we're sitting down with Indiana Fever coach Lin Dunn as she gets ready to step down from her position, and she's talking about the White House. We'll hear from her next on Indianapolis This Week. Welcome back to Indianapolis This Week. She's been a key figure for the Indiana Fever for years and has shaped women's basketball for more than 4 decades. This year, Fever coach Lin Dunn has announced that she's retiring, but she's certainly not slowing down. Not only is she leading the team, she's using her platform as a coach to speak about issues affecting women around the country. As you can see, I had a chance to sit down and talk and laugh with her, starting with the future for the Fever.
Well, you know, we're, I believe, 17, 18 years old, and I'm very optimistic about the future. You know, we now have 6 or 7 teams that are not only breaking even, but making money. We're a young business when you talk about only being 18 years old. I love the leadership that we have. You know, we've changed leaders with David Stern going out and Adam Silver coming in, and I love the things that Laura Ritchie's doing. So I'm very optimistic about the future, and I think it's a niche in the summer that feels a lot of people's urges for competition, high-level competition. Women's basketball is getting better and better, so I feel really good about it.
You've had a great run in Indianapolis, a championship. What will be, as you look back, your biggest contribution to this team? And I know you're humble.
Well, I'm thinking about that. You know, that's an interesting question. I think one of the things that I've been part of is maintaining a high level of excellence. You know, we expect to win. We expect to win championships. We expect to be in the playoffs. And I think maintaining that level, you know, through the years we've had to rebuild or retool or try to continue to get better at the same time bringing in young players and keep that level of excellence high. And I think that's hard to do. You know, we've never had a first pick in the draft because we're in the playoffs every year. So we're building and growing and staying where we are and chasing championships with lower draft picks, and I think that's real challenging to do. I think we've set a tempo or a tone in this community that win or lose, we're going to play hard. You know, if you want to see people come out and compete at the highest level, come watch the Indiana Fever. We're fan friendly. I truly believe in giving back to the community, just like Pacer Sports and Entertainment does as a whole. You know, we want to win championships and we want to be givers to the community, and I think we do that as an Indiana Fever group, and I take that seriously.
Is the highlight here that championship in 2012, or is the highlight the everyday stuff that you do to either win or recover from a loss?
I think the highlight of us is maintaining year after year after year. I don't know how many teams can say they've been in the playoffs 10 years in a row. You know, some of them can say, okay, we were in 3 or 4 years in a row, and then we didn't get in, and then we were back in. But maintaining that level where every year you are a playoff contender, you're a championship contender, and I think that's the hardest thing to do. Of course, winning a championship is the epitome. There's nothing like winning a championship. Certainly, I was honored to be a part of the first ever. There's only one first championship that we won in 2012, and being able to help Tamika Catchings grab that last piece that will go down with her. As you know, she's a legendary player, but every player wants the championship at every piece in at every time in their career. And I was glad that I could be a part of helping her get that last missing piece. And then, of course, going to the White House. You know, I'm such an Obama fan that not only was winning the championship fantastic, but then to go to the White House and be honored by someone that you have so much respect for in Barack Obama was really a treat to me in my career.
To see the White House, to meet you, that's really special too, because I'm a Democrat, so.
You did so well during that visit that I think the president almost offered you a job. Did you get that feeling?
I'm going to go back and look at the tape. Maybe he did and I didn't realize it, because I would love to be involved in politics after I retire. I'm going to do some things that are kind of in that arena. You know, I want to help get a woman elected president in 2016. Of course, I'm a big advocate of Hillary Clinton, but I also think Elizabeth Warren is a legitimate candidate.
I can't believe I have to say this in 2014. We believe in equal pay for equal work, and we're willing to fight for it.
So I want to get involved in that. There's some other things that I'm interested in: LGBT rights, violence against women, equal pay for equal work. And I think the platform that I now have as a professional coach, as a 44-year veteran in coaching, gives me a platform to make a difference. And I'm going to try to do some things that I can to help in those areas that I'm passionate about.
Let me ask you, on those issues that you just mentioned, two of the major ones. On the LGBT, the state of Indiana currently is engaged in a legal fight over same-sex marriage. Will we get over this issue in the sense of, will that become a norm in 5-10 years? Will this all become legal?
I absolutely believe that. I mean, I grew up in the 60s, you know, when And
I just said 5 to 10 years. You think it'll be sooner than 5 to 10 years?
I think it will be. I think the changes that we've seen in the last 5 years are unbelievable. I think you look at the states that now do have that have legalized gay marriage, that have legalized all types of opportunities for the LGBT community. You know, I really look at the LGBT fight that we have now for equal opportunities in all the areas, similar to what we dealt with the African American race, the blacks, in the 50s and 60s. I see it as a very similar fight, and I'm very optimistic about the changes that I've seen in the last few years. You know, I think INDA and DOMA and some of the things that have happened have been very progressive for us. I think there will continue to be some battles, but I think 5 years from now, I think the battles will be over, and we'll see the LGBT community having the opportunities that everybody else has.
Another issue of equal pay. You know, LeBron James makes millions. Tamika Catchings, an Olympian, doesn't make millions. Will we see at some point parity, not only in sports, which may be more of a business thing, but women who work in factory jobs, doctors, nurses, teachers? Yeah,
I'm more concerned in the everyday corporate world, say the Walmart, the Kmart, the Target, the man and the woman that are working side by side doing exactly the same job, and they're able to make the same pay, that women are not perceived as less than the male that's doing the same job there. And I think that's an area, you know, the minimum wage needs to be raised, but those women need to be earning, if they're doing the similar work, similar salaries. And I think, you know, historically, women have been treated as second-class citizens, and I think that's another journey we've been on. You know, women couldn't vote. Because why couldn't they vote? Because they were women. You know, women couldn't be in leadership roles. Why? Because they were women. Well, we know all of that's ridiculous. And I think the last glass ceiling that we have is seeing a female as president. We see them as fire chiefs, we see them as lawyers, we see them as doctors, chief of police. But the one missing piece is to see that woman leading our country. And I think once we see that, it's going to open some more doors.
Coach Dunn doesn't want to use the word retire, and is there a chance she could make a comeback to the sidelines in the NBA? She explains both next on Indianapolis This Week. Indianapolis This Week continues now with more of our one-on-one conversation with Fever coach Lin Dunn, starting with what happens after this season ends. In that post-retirement, and I don't think you want to use even the word retirement because you're still
transition period.
Transition.
The next chapter. I'm calling it the next chapter.
The next chapter. Will you be heavily involved in this? I mean, are you going to become Lin Dunn, super political being?
I don't think I'll be super involved, but I see 50% of my time and effort involved in the causes that I'm passionate about. And then I see another 50% of my time involved in consulting and teaching and helping and mentoring coaches. I'm very passionate about helping coaches get better. You know, coaches are working to help players get better. I want to work in an area where I don't think there's enough help for how can I help you as a coach. Let me come watch your practice. Let me watch your staff meetings. Let me sit in on your pregame, postgame speeches and everything, and maybe I can help you become a better coach. And I really love looking forward to doing that.
Do you hope to still become an assistant coach in the NBA?
Okay, now that was a little bit of a misunderstanding. I said if I ever coach again, if I ever have the urge to coach again, it would be in the NBA, because I don't want to. I want to travel on charter flights.
I got you.
And so
I'm
not saying that I'm trying to coach in the NBA. I'm saying if all of a sudden, man, I just got to coach again, the only place that I would look would be in the NBA, because I like how they travel.
Yeah, like the Pacers, maybe that'd be a good place.
I'm open. You know, I think being an assistant coach to Frank Vogel, being the assistant coach to Greg Popovich, Spoelstra. There's so many great coaches in the NBA that every day is a learning experience. I know some of my mentors, Hubie Brown, Phil Jackson. You know, I've learned a lot from watching the professional NBA men's coaches and going to their clinics and going to their camps and going to their training camps. And I love learning about the game. And I think that's the next level.
So in this transition period, when I see you driving down the road with that new vanity plate you're going to get, what should that vanity plate say?
Now, is that a license plate?
Yeah,
you call it a vanity plate. Where I'm from, we don't call it a vanity plate. We just call it a license plate. What's going to be on it is going to be probably the least inexpensive vanity plate that I could give. What is the minimum cost? But if I had to put some words on it, it would probably be well done.
Well done.
Well done.
Well done indeed. Our special thanks to Coach Dunn. Indianapolis This Week continues right after this. Thanks for watching. Make sure to join Drew Smith tonight for the news at 6. And remember that we are always on our website, theindychannel.com, and our app, our TV6 app. Have a great Sunday. We'll see you next week.